All right, guys, UFC Vegas 79 just finished. That was a weird card. Maybe one of the weirdest or worst cards of the years so far. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that card overall down in the comments. And let's talk about some of the key takeaway moments of it and not cover every single fight because not all of these fights were that great, were there? But there were some funny moments from Bryce Mitchell, from the disappointing ending. Starting off with Mo Usman and the sort of weird fight that he had. In fact, let's start there. We're not going to cover every fight, but let's start with Mo Usman versus Jake Collier. Firstly, Mo Usman, Jake Collier. Mo Usman won the fight. One of the judges had it 30-27, which I don't understand because to me, Jake Collier won that first round. And Mo Usman looks horrible on the feet as a stand-up fighter. He looks slow, sluggish. Like the dude is jacked. He's all muscle. And when guys have that much muscle, it's generally how much cardio can they carry with them long into the fight. And the way that Usman sort of fumbles around like he's drunk or something, like his stand-up is just disgusting. And he was getting pieced up by Collier in the first round, which means if you're going to have that much muscle on you, generally what you want to see in the first round is really crisp, sharp boxing, and then that slowly should start to fade away as the 15 to 25 minutes goes on. But he just comes out of the gate looking sloppy. Slop fest. It is incredible to think that he has any wins under his belt. It's just hard to watch, to be honest. He ended up getting the win via outpointing Collier, but that was a nasty eye poke. Like, technically it was win by eye poke. And Usman is just another guy that's going to be filling up the ranks of the heavyweight division, you know, somewhere outside of the top 15. Guys, can you see him anywhere in the top 10, really? I don't know where to put him. Like, I can't picture him in the top 10 being successful at heavyweight. Heavyweight has a level of skill now. And as for Jake Collier, what do you do with him? I think it's time for Jake Collier to go. We do not need this many heavyweights cramming up the lower tiers of the heavyweight division. I mean, I guess you have them there for when you bring in new talent to just get a couple of wins against, but if Collier is going to be here, Collier is pretty much a guaranteed parlay maker now. Whoever he's fighting, bet against Collier, you've got yourself an easy parlay or trifecta, however you want to call them, wherever you are in the world. Let's move on to another fight that I wanted to speak about. Bryan Battle versus AJ Fletcher. This one I did want to speak about. I found this fight really interesting and fun to watch, simply because of the way that Bryan Battle looked in there. Now, the first round, I actually had it going Fletcher's way because of that nasty elbow that he landed, but Bryan Battle in that first round just looked sort of bored. Like, I get the game plan. He's the longer fighter, the rangier fighter, so he was just going to keep Fletcher at bay with those tape kicks and look for the counters, and that game plan, you know, was working for him. But the problem is, without any killer instinct, without seeing that fight in the fighter and trying to really engage in a battle, you are looking for a shorter fighter like Fletcher to land a good shot. And it's one of those shots that can do heavy, hard damage. And because it is immediate damage-based scoring, can win them the round. So to me, I had that first round going Fletcher's way. Now, with Fletcher being the shorter fighter, that kid should be watching tape on Alexander Volkanovski, Robert Whittaker like mad. Because when you are the shorter fighter, closing distance, creating damage, keeping your head and body covered as you work your way in is the absolute name of the game. And I just didn't see that much coming for him. So I think he's going to continue to have a problem against longer, rangier, lanky fighters. Like, guys, if the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world is a short guy and you are a short guy, watch him and watch how he creates his entries so closely. And as for Battle, his game plan worked perfectly. He kept himself on the outside, just had to minimize the amount of damage that he was getting. And then when it did get down onto the ground and got to the grappling, those long arms, that lanky body, he was able to use that to transition, make really good scrambling, and ended up winning by the rear naked choke. Good on him. Bryan Battle is an interesting personality to have in the sport. I'm happy that he got the win. And I think what's next for him, he should take on D-Rod. Let's just keep on slowly moving him up the rankings against these fighters and see where he actually lands as we start to get closer and closer towards the top 15. What else can you do with him? He's winning. He's looking okay while he's doing it. Nothing phenomenal, but he's getting himself some nice wins. All right, let's talk about the karate hottie, Michelle Waterson versus Rodriguez. This one, guys, really, it does come down to the thing to talk about here is the reffing. That was horrible adjudicating on behalf of the ref. Like, Michelle Waterson was getting the absolute piss beaten out of her. That is what a 10-8 round looks like. If you were ever wondering, especially after last weekend, what's a 10-8? Go watch that first round. That's a 10-8. Might even be a 10-7. Now, what was particularly bad about this reffing is that we were very close to Rodriguez actually finishing Waterson in the last 20 seconds of the fight, and the ref decides that he's going to stop the fight there, not to end it because of the amount of damage that Michelle Waterson was getting, but to just check to see that she could continue to take that amount of damage. It ruined the entire finishing sequence and had to put Michelle Waterson back in there for a second round of absolute abuse. Now, we all love Michelle Waterson. We're great fans of her for many reasons, but I do think it is time to go, man. Like, you do not belong in the UFC anymore. And if you don't belong in the UFC and you're Michelle Waterson, where do you belong? Like, I don't think you belong in a cage, professionally fighting. Obviously, there are other organizations that will have you. You're a name, you bring fans with you. But as a competitive athlete in the UFC, I don't see her getting any higher up the rankings. Her career has not been going well. 6 losses in your last 7 fights. I'm sorry, Michelle Waterson. It's time to go. As for the referee, it's moments like that that give us so much to talk about, isn't it? Because that reffing was horrible. I mean, go back and look at some of the photos of how Michelle Waterson looks after that fight. No good. All right, let us get on to the funnest part of tonight's fight night. Bryce Mitchell versus Dan Ige. Oh my God, Bryce Mitchell. He is a complete character, but before we get into talking about the character of Bryce Mitchell, let's talk about the actual fight, right? This is the kind of fight where you can judge it either way. Like, before the judges' scorecards got read out, I knew in my heart, no matter who won it, the other side, whoever it is going to be saying, oh, that could have gone either way. Oh, a bit of a robbery. Ige got robbed. Mitchell got robbed. Guys, let me know how you saw it down in the comments. But when I was scoring it, I scored the first round to Mitchell, second round to Ige, third round to Mitchell. One of the judges gave it a 30-27. It could have been 30-27 either way. Either way, it was a fight of two halves. Ige was piecing Mitchell up on the feet. Mitchell was getting him down, going for submission attempts, getting a little bit of ground and pound off, doing good control time either way. It's damage-based scoring. You should be giving it to Ige in those situations. But when it's sort of even, like the damage was a lot. It was fair. Maybe it was an Ige win and we did get robbed. I don't know. It's one of those fights. I'm going to have to go back and watch again. Either or. It could have gone either way. I don't think Ige really loses any stock for that kind of a loss. And having said that, I don't think Mitchell really gains any stock for having that kind of a win either. You know what I mean? It's a bit of a dead heat sort of fight. But Bryce Mitchell is someone who you want to see on fight nights. You want to see on pay-per-views. You want to see the media asking him questions. You want to see him out in MMA YouTube content. The kid is a character. I do not agree with like so many things that the kid says. But he's just one of these characters, you know. It's like, comes at Chimaev. He's going to go into the ring. He's going to beat someone up. He's going to yell, kill everybody, Allahu Akbar, right? And everyone like celebrates Chimaev. He's a loved fighter. These are just these characters in there that make MMA what they make. And I would rather see a Bryce Mitchell or an Aljamain Sterling or a Khamzat Chimaev or a Colby Covington. I'd rather see these characters than just another fighter who's going to get a mic in front of their face and say, yeah, I worked really hard this camp. Give me anyone in the top 10. Great, man. That's great. So Bryce Mitchell comes out holding a Bible up high, screaming freedom, tries to force the entire Apex into a solemn prayer. It was just madness. From the moment that he walked onto the camera to the moment that he exited stage left, it was absolute madness. And unlike Colby Covington, I don't think Bryce Mitchell's playing a character. I think he believes exactly what he's saying about the earth being flat. He is just being unapologetically himself, and I am here to watch it. It is madness, and I love it. And then let us get into the main event. I was wrong with how I saw the stand-up going. When we made that video about me talking about how I figured the fight was going to go over the 25 minutes, I was completely wrong about how I saw the stand-up going. Now, I don't know if Fiziev was carrying an injury into this fight because he didn't look as crisp and as fast on the hands as he usually looks. So I don't know if he was trying to mitigate any damage to the knee or if he felt like the knee was a little bit sore going into it. But it is what it is. I had Gamrot winning the first round. I haven't checked the judges' scorecards yet, but to me, it looked like Gamrot was winning the first round. I have seen some comments saying that Gamrot's lucky because he was losing. I don't think he was losing. I think he was holding himself very, very well against Fiziev. I really like Fiziev's takedown defense, the way that he could posture up on one leg and bounce around, and like his takedown defense looks absolutely beautiful. It does every time. I am still a huge Fiziev fan. I've still got high hopes for Fiziev. I think he's still going to be a lot. Lightweight is a hard division to make it to the championship in, but I still think Fiziev is going to be one of these long-term contenders. A Collier, a Gaethje, one of these contenders that we're going to see for a long time. That's where my stock is personally in Fiziev. As for Gamrot, what do you do with him? What do you do? That win was a bit of a disappointing win, wasn't it? That's not the kind of win that is going to get the attention of Collier, you know what I mean? And he's sort of now edged his way into that level of lightweight where you need to be getting their attention. Honestly, what I would do with Gamrot next, if I was the matchmakers, I would drop this fight between Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor, and I would bring Gamrot up to fight Michael Chandler. Because why does Michael Chandler deserve his ranking in the UFC's lightweight division? Who is he really beaten? Like, really, Chandler's record is kind of trash in the UFC lightweight division. So I think it's time for him to take on a real up-and-comer and go hard. And as for Conor McGregor, what do you do with him? Who cares? It's Conor McGregor. You could do anything with him. Get him in there against Gaethje for a BMF title fight. Get him in there against Colby Covington. You could do anything with Conor McGregor. There's so many different... Volk move up to fight Conor McGregor to see who is still like competitive in the two blokes that moved up from 145. It's Conor McGregor. We'll sort that out when we get to it. Michael Chandler, he's had a wasted year. He is clearly very healthy and raging for a fight. Gamrot came into this, took very little damage. He was in there for about 6 minutes. You could get these two booked and sorted, and on the December pay-per-view, by the end of the year, you could get these guys in the cage and get Chandler moving and prove that Chandler should be where he should be, and get Gamrot that kind of win that puts him in there against the Poiriers and the Gaethjes and the Oliveras and the Dariushas. That's what you want to see, and we need to try and create that. Now, guys, they are my thoughts from UFC Vegas 79. Let me know yours down in the comments. What did you think of Bryce Mitchell? What do you think is next for Gamrot? What the hell are we going to do with Michelle Waterson? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We have got a bit of a break until the next pay-per-view, but we're going to keep making content on this channel. So if you've been enjoying these videos, maybe consider clicking subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.